Look at him, he's heading for that small moon.
I think I can get him before he gets there. He's almost in range.
That's no moon.
Hello there, and welcome back to Montage and Montage, Attorneys at Law. In the previous episode of Claw and Order, we subpoenaed the stars with a litany of salacious and frivolous claw suits. Let's get his law with the K, because it's Kerbal. Which is to say that not a single suit saw any action. Like, at all. It was all probes, all the way down. All the way down to Duda! And as cool as that was, it's also very much not what this series was meant to be about. Don't get me wrong, we've still got a few probes left in the old prospecting pipeline, but I'd prefer to have a little skin in the game if we can. So, let's do just that. Today, we're going to establish a permanent Kerbal presence amongst the stars. Today, we take our first true steps towards being truly infinite. Now, we wouldn't be your favorite 31-year-old bald man and anthropomorphic fungus duo if we didn't do a little fan service from time to time. The fan that we are specifically and personally servicing during this slice of the Samsara cycle is Manto, who has submitted the sensationally sublime suggestion to resuscitate the slippery, slimy skin of the now infamous banana stand. And here it is, in all of its semi-erect glory. Nuh-uh, no peeking.
Access granted.
And there we go. I can't believe we've actually done it. We finally finished that godforsaken orbital station contract. We have been sitting on that for a literal month. But it's done. Here it is. This is the banana stand, people. And to prove it to you, there we go. Now it's official. We've made ourselves our very first station. Now this is just the very little tip of the iceberg, right? This is the first piece of a very large puzzle that is eventually going to become known as the banana stand. But we do have a rather large amount of things to do first. And the first of that is going to be just to tidy up this orbit. I want 100 kilometers equal. So yeah, this thing's just going to basically face away from the planet at all times. Let's give her a roll, put those radiators in the shade and those solar panels in the sun, and this is it. This is the vessel. So we've got quite a lot going on for us. We've got a storage module in the center over here. This contains just a bunch of spare parts. Should we dock any vessels that need to be refit, I do occasionally tend to forget solar panels and what do you call these things? These ones are the parachutes, yeah, and ladders. It's been known to happen. I won't admit exactly as to when. We've got ourselves a mobile processing lab. That was part of the requests for the science lab, for the contract. We also have ourselves a hitchhiker storage container. That's just basically space for Kerbals. And finally, we've got ourselves a cupola. So if I go ahead and take control of Jim Kerman here, or Jimette Kerman, I suppose, let's unbuckle and take a little bit of a tour. So for starters, I mean, look at that cupola over there. Yeah, it's a hell of a view from the inside, isn't it? So why don't we go around past the chair here and crack open these hatches. Take a little tour of the facility. So there we go. We can see Kerbin just kind of floating by, living its best life. The glass, rather terrifyingly, not loading in on the texture there. Love that for us. There we go. Refresh the cloud layer by taking a screenshot. If you've been wondering why that's happening, that is why. We can even see the leeward side, which is really cool. It's why I like orienting in this direction. We've got a couple extra chairs in here. We got some food. We got some snacks. We got some trash. All the good stuff a Kerbal needs. He also can go EVA. So let's crack open the next hatch and head down into the lab. So there's a lot more going on in here. We've got a series of experiments. We've also got plenty of atmospherics plumbing up and down. As we drop lower, there's additional bays, of course, and this is the airlock area, which is great. We can head down further, and you'll see there's even more chairs. I think you can host 2 Kerbals in this space, despite there being 6 chairs. Normally those things do correlate. And then here, finally, we have our service module. So this contains a whole bunch of dickies and doodads and a little techno babble for you, as well as, most critically, all of our inventory space. Now, there is no bottom. That is unfortunately the end of the craft, but if we go ahead and hop outside, there we go. We can take a little bit of a better look at this whole thing, and I think it looks fantastic. So we've got 1, and then over here on the other side, there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the very back, we've got 5. A 5th docking port over there. That is everything we have available to us. We can expand that dramatically, and to do so, we will use this docking port over here. This comes from the rather fantastic USI construction mod, which is not one that we've really seen much from just yet. It's these things over here, the Clampatron construction ports. And what those allow you to do is genuinely fantastic. It allows you to weld parts together, which, as your stations grow, and as I'm sure veteran players will know, the parts count can become a real problem. And just by welding things together, you take out 2, right? Because it removes the 2 clamps, and it massively increases the structural integrity, so a little bit less wobbliness going on. Auto strut is available from this menu, which is really important, meaning if we get wobbliness, we can just do more and more auto struts. I try to limit them if I can help it, just simply because the sheer number of auto struts can actually start affecting your game's performance. So let's go ahead and transfer crew. We're just going to send Jim back up to the cupola. That's where he's going to live. We brought 4,500 supplies with us for Jim to chill with, but Jim has no friends right now. Sorry, Jim. We need to bring in some scientists so that he can work on this stuff. So let's actually quickly take a look, because there is a new mechanic that I would like to show off here. Basically, the lab kind of turns data, which is recorded here as, I think it's MIPS, there we go, instead of bits, I suppose, is recorded as data, and then like at a set rate, it will convert that data into science you can transmit home, up to a maximum of 500. But I'm going to assume it's because we don't have a scientist here, so let's go get one. In order to get one, we're going to want to undock that, okay, switch back to this ship, turn on the old RCS, and thrust. And I'm actually going to bring this decoupler back with me. And we're going to leave that station in orbit. There we go. It is now well and truly a station. And we're actually going to deorbit this module because we can recover the money from it. So I'm going to show how we do these first couple of runs. And then the rest of it is going to be done mostly off camera. I will just show the launches, just simply because, you know, keeps the episode time down and you don't really need to see all the repetitive bits, do you? Now that little stellar proboscis was pretty cool and all, but it hardly looks like our gateway to the stars, does it? No! If we're going to revive the banana stand, we're doing it right. And we will be building the station up over 5 consecutive launches. We'll also be recovering the boosters as often as possible. First comes the core of every station, the hub. Here we're just using a scaled up docking node with 6 of the construction welding connectors attached to it. These are a must-have if you plan on building larger stations, as they allow you to weld the parts together permanently by hitting the compress parts button. Okay, here goes nothing. Let's see if this does anything. Quick save. Compress. Hey, there we go. Very nice. Okay, slightly inclined. That's okay. Compressor rotation tends to sometimes blow everything up, so. Okay, undock that bit. Then we can compress and...
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
So what have we brought with us in this load? We've got a tug, an orbital tug, this little guy here. His whole purpose is to move stuff around for us. It's a little spaceship. And then, of course, we've got our big guy. What I want to do is pin this, and I want to send out all of the monopropellant. Put it back in this tank because we just don't need it in here. This is going to get... there we go, undock. That is going to get sent back to Kerbal. And this right here is going to fly itself forward. Okay, turn off your stabilization when you come in for a dock, and voila, there we go. Now, I don't really care about the orientation on these so much, so what we're going to do is click this, and we're going to click compress parts. Perfect. Because I want that to be permanently welded in that orientation. And then we're going to get this thing to face up again. Beautiful. And this basically is just going to be our stack of supplies. And I've got another one that'll come this side for fertilizer. And we'll put greenhouses. We'll do all of the crude stuff up top. And then I've got a big old truss I want to build down this way for the mechanical sort of maintenance, utility, that sort of bits and pieces. So why don't we go ahead and provisionally... I suppose you can just stay there, little docking truss, little docking guy, until we get the next mission up here. So I guess let's do that. You... need to go back to Kerbal, though. Now, we have a ton of supplies, but no way to replenish them. Let's fix that. Look at that. We're making supplies. Mel Roman, the farmer. Beggars can't be choosers. We've got 25 tons of fertilizer, should we need it. I don't think that's even... It is used in the farm. So we can turn poop into food forever, basically. We will eventually have to resupply that. But I imagine it'll last a while. And yeah, we're producing plenty poop. Just from these two Kerbals, and yeah, we got plenty of supplies. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to disable this one right here. There we go. I'm going to actually say don't use the supplies in this one. That's going to be our emergency because yeah, we'll be able to send resupply missions to refill these, but I want to keep that one as like an absolute backup. That's the plan anyway. Okay, cool. That's all welded. Now, for the next bits. And there's quite a few bits. And the next bits we shall have. Specifically, this really trendy truss segment. Beautiful. Okay, we have a truss segment. Okay, it is now time to dock all of our various craft. But before I do that, I need to pin this and make sure we've got enough monopropellant inside this thing. Okay, let's try this. So you should decouple. Alright, so we want to control from here. We want to set that as our target and turn towards it. Okay, slowly rotate up. These are these very cool linear connectors. We've got solar connectors on the connectors. Does that count? I feel like that doesn't count. Okay, disable SAS so the magnets can do their work, and voila, we are latched. Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. Alright, so you... Yep, we're definitely going to need to refuel this thing every time we use it. Okay, this one we undock. We switch to the little guy. And we are aiming for that. And controlling him from here. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Look at him. Okay, so this way. Thrusters on. Let's fly. That's what we need. Okay, cool. So that's latched. Very nice. And then I think we're probably just gonna I think just as a matter of protocol, we just fill this up. Come on, baby. Lock it. There we go. Okay, we got him. We got him. And I think I'll just leave the little probe attached here. Before I unfurl the solar panels, we are going to refuel this. And then we are going to lock it. So I don't accidentally decouple this thing without fuel in it, because that would be a disaster. Okay, there we go. No using the monopropellant, please. And then you know what? Do the same thing with my big boy here. Excellent. We actually managed to line that up astonishingly well. Let's go ahead and make use of this all. So we need to turn all of these up and on. Oh, wow. Look at that power. Look at that power. Girl, look at that power. Do you work out? You feel like you work out. There she blows. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. We actually did it. Excellent. All right. You've got a tiny little smushkin of liquid fuel left. I'm actually gonna, we could drain it out into here. I'm gonna leave it in there. And we're going to undock this. And then we're going to get rid of this ship here. Let's just let that fall away. And we're gonna disorbit this bad boy. Deorbit? Disorbit. Sure, why not? Yeah, 16k back. Not nothing. Not nothing. And we got this bad boy back too. Okay, so that was a pretty big win. The station's looking really good, but it doesn't really do anything yet. In order to make it do stuff, we're going to need to send up some engineers, send up a orbital workshop, and then we can finally build things in space. We're also going to send up, we have to send up the resources to do that. So we've got 3 more launches. We need to send up workshops, we need to send up the orbital assembly plant, and we need to send up the resources to build with them. Okay, let's get started. Now, the power grid wasn't the only thing getting some work done. So too were these workshops. We'll cover what they do when you see the coup de grace of what we're working on here. Don't worry. Oh, there it is. I see him. God damn it, that was the smoothest docking we've done and you couldn't see the damn thing. That's how it always is, huh? Well, let me not count my chickens before they've connected with the space station. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. Coming in. This is gonna be literally. Oh, and the sun coming in clutch. Last minute to show how great I am at this game. Oh, thank you, son. Thank you. Doc. Ah, crap. I spoke too soon. We bounced. Damn it. This would be much easier with my orbital tug. I just really want the fuel out of this thing, which is why we're using it. This mission was not designed to be a refuel mission, which is why this is so hard. But if we can pull this off, we get all the fuel in these tanks, which is a lot. There we go. Holy, that was a bit of a pain in the ass, wasn't it? But we got it done. Okay, now there's a temptation to undock and rotate so that these are aligned, but you know what? Screw it. We quick save. We compress. Beautiful. Then you need to be completely emptied. Evacuated even. Thank you. And then you. Thank you. We'll take just a tiny little smushkin of fuel out. Tiniest little morsel. So that we can deorbit this thing. And voila, that's done. Let's go ahead and turn on our panels. Okay, these are radiators, which will probably be useful. I don't know if we actually need them, but it just felt like a good thing to get. And then I want the whole thing to rotate. Oh my god, it's really starting to come together. I want the whole thing to rotate so that the cupola, which is our... Hold on, control from here. I want the cupola pointing at the planet so we get unmitigated views, but mostly so that the solar panels actually point at the sun. The sun tends to be away from Kerbal on account of not being Kerbal. Okay, undock this. And here it is, the Orbital Assembly Station. An absolutely gargantuan part that allows us to build ships directly in orbit. Okay, come on. Come on. Gentle dock. Gentle. Oh, beautiful. Oh my god, you can't do it better than that, baby. That was the best one yet. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. It's not easy, man. It's really not easy, but I am getting better. Okay, so first things first. Quick save. Ah, yes. My own genius does astound me sometimes. There is. I put the docking ring backwards. Come on, dude. Okay, I guess we're not building out this way. Not that we really wanted to. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to deploy our station. That's what I would say if it deployed. Shipyard deployment. Huh? I must deposit resources. What are they talking about? Okay, hold on. To the quickly, Batmobile to the forums. Okay, after a truly ridiculous amount of time digging through KSP forums, I have discovered something rather concerning and potentially incredibly expensive. So it seems like a flashbang warning, by the way, for the viewers with eyes. So there is a somewhat ludicrous system here at play, which I was not anticipating. This is the first time I'm using a lot of these mods too, so we're all learning together. It's part of the fun, fun with a very, very lowercase f. Now, here we have this. So this individual is running into the same problem I did, right? He's like, how do I, again, deposit the resources, but I can't seem to actually do anything. And I clicked the same button, I got the same problem. Okay, so we're on the same page, we're in the same boat, we're drowning in the same, 1-inch puddle. Brother, you and me both. So then this individual here came in with the fix, with the win. He links to the patch notes on the GitHub, right, which are for the 250 or the 2.5 meter shipyard. We're using the bigger 5 meter one. And here, there's a resource cost indicator. And he says that this is what you got to pay. You got to pay 4,000 material kits. Now, unfortunately, I did not have the foresight to build the small shipyard. I was like, no, let's go big or go home. And so looking at the GitHub request for the larger one, it's 27,000. It's 27,000 material kits. So, let's head to the space center. Let's just cost that one out, shall we? So this is basically, for those of you who aren't following at home, this is the cost in materials that we need to pay up front in order to turn this thing on, so that we can actually then, use it. So we want the regular container, not the storage one. She's a big lad. And we want to switch cargo types until we get to material kits. This can bring 128,000. Okay, so this one would definitely do it. So this thing costs 63k. Okay, well maybe we can go down a size here, right? Let's go storage container. I don't want to pay 7,000 bucks. I'll just take this one over here. Okay, so we switch over. Material kits. So 16,000 material kits is 32,000 credits. Oh god, it's so expensive. So we need 2 of these things, right? So it's gonna be 70k just to turn this stupid thing on. We have 400, man. We're so broke. That just lets us build things. We then still need to use the same resources. These material kits are what you construct craft out of. And there's a few different resource. Like, what's what I'm looking for? There's 3 different resources in the mod. There are Metals and polymers are used to make the stuff. There's supplies. We know about supplies. Machinery. This is kind of an interesting one. This is sort of your tooling. And you need a large amount of it on hand, right? Like 340k to fill the container. The way this works is you kind of like use it up over time, and then you can recycle it back and make some more. But the idea is it's kind of like workshops need to be refurbished every now and then. I think that's the logic behind it. So there's machinery, then there's also recyclables or what is produced when you use the machinery. Then there's these things, specialized parts. You see that number? Okay, watch me triple it. Oh, double. Okay. So this is 260,000 fucking credits to fill this container with specialized parts. We probably won't ever need 16,000 of them, but we'd need some. Then there are two other resources we need, and they are, if I can find them here. I've been doing a lot of digging here through the source files. There are alloys. Okay, so alloys are not cheap. You don't need much. I did in a test world figure out that you need like 5 alloys to build the Pillar 2 rocket again in space. That's that initial sounding rocket we used. So you don't need a ton of these, and you can produce them in situ using a specialized workshop. But we also would need synthetics as well. These are also not cheap, as you can see there. So yes, we have we may have overextended somewhat here. Now look, we can just send up this stuff. I'm just not convinced it's cheaper than just building it on Kerbal. Let's take out the old container. So I'm going to go alloys, and I'm literally going to put like 25 of these in. So that's how much it would cost to build 3 of those sounding rockets and some change. Okay, that's it. That's 15k on its own. How much is the Pillar 2 rocket? Like in totality, forgetting the specialized parts and the materials kits. The Pillar 2 costs 3,000. So we could build, for the price of building one of these in orbit, right, if we were to ship the materials up from Kerbal and pay for them, we could build 5 of these. More, actually. We could build 7 of these. That's how math works, yeah, hell. Now, I assume that what is causing the alloys requirement are the science kits. So maybe what we do is we just buy the science kits, we build the science kits on Kerbal, ship them up with a construction module and weld them onto the ship that we want them to use, that we want to use them rather than trying to build them out of alloys on the surface, in space rather. That seems to be the main limiter here. In fact, you know what? Let me whip out a test world and show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here we go. Here's the test world with the ship launched. Now, for whatever reason, I can deposit a bit. I suppose we just used up all our material kits, didn't we? Ah, crap. Okay, so that's exactly what we have to pay. Now we know for sure. But there is, as you can see, the constructor option here, which my one didn't have for whatever reason. The constructor allows you to pick a ship that you would like to launch. So let's say, for example, let's go with the Pillar 2 over there. And as you can see, it requires material kits, specialized parts, and alloys to build in orbit. I don't have those because I somehow managed to bug out my alloy container. I was trying to remove the resource from the game because I was like, this is too expensive, man. But nope, not allowed to do that. So instead, we're stuck with this. I guess we can't deploy this till we pay everything. I'm assuming I have these options because I'm in a God mode version of KSP. I really hope this isn't another research we have to unlock in order to use this thing. But straight up, I have no clue. Anyway, as you can see, there is another option which it would typically allow us to build. You can also build individual parts, which I think is actually kind of cool. And the way this works is you pick a part. If you haven't deposited your material kits, you can click produce the part. And then if you've got an engineer in your vessel, you can actually make those parts, which I think is pretty nifty. Okay, so as cool as the Orbital shipyard is, there's clearly a bit of a ways to go before we can actually use it. And that's something we'll have to deal with in future episodes. I'm still pretty proud of what we built today. In fact, let's head back to the regular save and take one last look at everything. Okay, snapping back to our banana stand station, I noticed something rather concerning. I don't know if you guys were there for this. I'm pretty sure I just welded on an orbital constructor. The money's gone from my account. Like, I've got 300k, so we definitely launched it, but it's not here. I think what has happened is that I have been betrayed by the recovery mod, FMRS. I think what happened is that it reverted my save to a point before I'd launched the thing, but somehow still deducted the money. So I suppose we're just 200k down and have no orbital construction station, which kind of puts a bit of a pin in everything I was about to do, but whatever. Let's review what we do have here, okay? So the core of the station is this hub right over here, and it's a pretty nifty little module. It's one of the 1.5 meter parts, or 1.25 meter parts, whatever they are, just scaled up to 2.5 meters. So that it's nice and chunky and big, and it fits well onto all the other parts, which are... I find building stations at the 2.5 meter scale just to be a bit easier. You can do it with the smaller ones, but they're so wobbly. I think these joints are just so much more rigid, even without the welding mod, right? Which is construction spelled with a K, by the way. Then, of course, we have our sort of crew segment over here, like the primary crew habitation segment. That's where Jim is currently stationed. She's inside the cupola. If we take a quick look, there you go. Really pretty. And if we unbuckle, as we've seen before, we can, fly down through. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite finagle it so that we had a contiguous living space all the way through to the workshops and things. It just didn't work out. But that is something you probably could do if you tried hard enough to do it. And that is really pretty, isn't it? Huh? Okay, so then moving down, let's take a route down. So what do you have up here, by the way? We've got just a regular crew module, just for habitation purposes. We have a processing lab for science, which we still need to do some processing on. And we have our storage module, which again just has sort of parts that we might need to rescue ships if it comes up, because it will. Then we have our farm on this side over here, which unfortunately doesn't really have an internal view. If I look at it, it just gives me the cupola, but it's all sort of bugged out. So yeah, no view for us, no fun view for us in there. Although apparently if you go to the menu, you can see through the walls. Then we've got our workshops over here. We have a farmer and a pilot. Yeah, so we need to probably recruit some more engineers, which is going to take money, which we now don't have because it was deleted. What's very interesting is that the part isn't just missing. It's like reverted to before we welded it on. I don't know. Okay, then we built the truss, which is this thing over here. It's got 2 large fuel tanks. We got some liquid fuel and some oxidizers so that we can refuel ships as they come and go. I separated them for the simple reason that I'm South African. No, I'm kidding. I separated them because I was actually, I was thinking that maybe I actually just want liquid fuel, but no, I want liquid fuel and oxidizer both, but I guess I'd like to be able to just easily refuel liquid fuel. There was no reason to do this. I just looked cool. Okay, shut up. Then, of course, we also attached and locked our solar panels. Unfortunately, there is no construction version of these very cool linear docking ones. So that's a big... I like this. I like these nodes. They seem to be very stable, too. And then a bit of a goof on my part. I should have made this a construction Clampatron, not a regular one. And we might make it a construction one in the future, just because that way we'd be able to weld on more struts if we flew them up. Now we can't. We would have to we'd have to just sort of attach them and then use, I don't know, maybe girders or something to reinforce it. I don't know. Anyway, the workshops lead into this little passageway, and I just thought it could be thematically cool if there was a bit of a sort of gap between the workshops and the actual orbital construction station. A, to get it out of the way of the solar panels, and B, just because I think it looks cool, right? And it's a good place to put some of these radiators. We will eventually have a nuclear reactor on this station. We just don't need it right now. We got so much solar, and we just don't use that much power, really. So it's not necessary. Okay, so that's it. Now, that's the overview of the station. It doesn't have any crew, and I don't want to launch a super large crewed mission up here just yet. It's not necessary, and we'll just have to spend supplies. We need money, a lot more money, before we do anything else. And I think our Moho probe, just getting it sent out there at the end of today, is going to be the best way to do that. So we're going to do 2 more things today. We're going to send up a couple scientists and a science pack, just so that we can start testing out our mobile processing lab and start sending some science back. And that science pack will be modular and will fit on different vessels and allow us to, like, if we send up like a ship that flies to the moon, it can pick up the pack, fly to the moon, bring the pack back, and then just leave it on the station. I think that's the best way to do it. So modularity all the way down is sort of how I like to play these things. But yeah, I think the station looks pretty good. It's definitely not finished. Like, this is the start, right? But it did cost 2 million credits to get this thing built. They're not cheap. But yeah, a good start for sure, and one we'll keep working on as the series sort of continues. This is going to become the gateway very much to the stars. Let's get some Kerbals up here. Oh, hell yeah. The Hanadi. Alright, after about 20 minutes or so of deep frying some brain cells, I managed to come up with this thing over here. This is the Hanadi Crew Transport. Congratulations to Hanadi. The mathematical calculations are off the charts with this one. We've got ourselves a 4-person Pandora crew module up top. We've got ourselves 8 sort of passenger capacity. This thing would also work pretty well for tourists, right? Taking them to orbit and back. But now we just got to decide who we're taking with us. Now, Javier is our only engineer, so I guess putting him up on the station isn't the worst thing. We can just rendezvous with it and, you know, get him off if we need to. Get him off is not what I meant to say. We can rendezvous with the station and take him off it if we need to use him for something else somewhere. So that's not too much of a trade smash. I think I want to keep Dr. Wand available for other projects, and instead I'm going to take Pikachu up there. So Pikachu and Cornelius Kerman are going to man the science processing lab, and Diamond Kerman's going up as our pilot. This is a probe-capable ship. It's got this gigantic probe core over here, which is so ludicrously oversized for what it needs to be, but I just don't want to put it over here because here we have this really nifty little docking port, and I really like that docking port to be crew accessible from inside. That is the only reason that the docking, that the probe is this large, is because I don't want to put it over there. And same for the batteries and the reaction wheels. It's so overbuilt, which led me to building the sort of quad stack adapters so we could fit these in because the Hitchhiker didn't look quite right. And I don't know, it's just come up with an interesting little ship. And here we've got the Terria liquid fuel engine. By the way, pro building tip if you want it, and by pro I mean you probably shouldn't do this, is if you've got these 4-point adapters, you can't attach these quad adapters to all 4 points at once. It doesn't work. Right, so what you do is just switch back to like single point connection. I'm just gonna regret what I'm about to do here. And what you can do is if you kind of just find the right spot like that, it'll attach to one of them. Like this one's attached to there, okay? And then all you do is just stage it so that it's not a problem, basically. I also don't really need this stage if I've got those stages, do I? Perfect. Look at that. We're already improving the craft. Then it's the same standard booster that's worked for all the other banana stand-ups to this point, just because we know it works and it's mostly reusable. Why not run it back and just keep using it? There you go, that is the crew transport, but like I said, I would also like to launch a science pack with this one. I would have liked to build this in orbit. Apparently the game engine has other plans. So this is going to be our first launch of the Hanati. It just comes with this little science pack, and it is exactly what it looks like. It is a small docking node and a big docking node, right? And it is going to contain every science experiment we're able to do, plus a probe core, some batteries, and a antenna, pretty much, and its own solar panel. So this is actually kind of its own little spacecraft, but it can't move around. It's designed to be picked up by another craft and then taken to where you need it and then brought back. That's the conception. In fact, we might end up just doing a quick flyby of the moon and coming back. We'll see how that works. This is a re-entry capable craft as well. So this crew transport will take people up to the banana stand and bring them back down. That's the plan anyway. Hey, lovely. There we go. So a lot of that should have been dumped in here now, right? Yeah, there we go. It's all been moved over there, which is exactly what I want. That's how I want that behavior to work. It seems, and I'm not the author of this mod, so I don't know for sure, but it seems like the For Science mod will send science to whatever your initial build was. You can click the For Science button here to disable it, and I think it'll stop doing that. So like, let's say if I turn that off, so if I were to, for example, pop Jim out, okay, Jim grabs all of the data from here, And then Jim's going to fly it over to the science lab. This is I just want to see if this works, right? So while holding on for dear life, I can store the experiments here. Yes, and now they stop being moved. Okay, so all of the data is now in here. If I turn this back on, is it going to move back to the cupola? Yes, yes it is. Okay, cool. So that works perfectly for how I wanted it to work. Oh, good. So, I mean, look, in future, obviously, it'd be a bit more effective to just put it in the lab directly, but as long as it's moving it from whatever's docked to the main station ship, because this is considered the root part, and as far as For Science is concerned, I'm a happy camper. All right, so now what are we actually doing up here? Well, I suppose we could start by deploying our solar panels. We didn't do that. We don't really need to now that I think about it. What's going on over there, game? What's that about? We got a spotlight? We got a spotlight on the ship? What's happening? Okay, Mr. Engineer, we are. I can't just use the transfer crew thing, but then we lose out on all these cool cinematic shots of Kerbals flying around. So I'm gonna move the crew where they belong, piecemeal here. I don't know if there's actually a way to get into these things directly. Yeah, nah. Okay, might just have to hop into the storage container instead. Okay, everyone is successfully transferred. The only person left in here is good old Diamond. She's going to stay there too for the moment. So now the way this is going to work, it's pretty cool. We have no data in the lab right now, but we can, and we have no science currently stored. And that's because it's not actually doing anything just yet. Also, we definitely want to start the converter. Now what we can do is review the stored data, and we can do this. So this science experiment is functionally useless to us in its normal state, right? It provides no data if recovered or transmitted. There's no reason to do this science anymore, except we can now tell it to be processed in the lab. And what that means is we've now stored 18 data, right? 18 data is going to turn into 90 science over a couple months. It takes a while, right? But it does work. So here we have 4 data. So now we're at 22 out of 750. So obviously bigger, better labs, and there are more advanced versions of labs, can store more and therefore process more science. So we could return this material study to Kerbal, right? And we would get 3.8 science to finish off the little bit we didn't get from transmitting it. Or we can just process in the lab and get 110 for it. So you can see how the value scales very quickly with the lab. This is why there's incentive to build them. This is 44 data and would give us 220 science. And there you go. We're just going to go ahead and click through all of these and just fill them up. And the more data you put into the lab, the faster you gain science. So basically you get maximum efficiency when you've got 750 data, and that sort of peters off as you get less and less and less. So you want to constantly be checking in and adding back to this total. Okay, awesome. Look at that. And now we're making 10 science a day. And so if we just fast travel around Kerbal, you'll see that we slowly but surely build up some science. And by slowly, I mean pretty rapidly. But of course, as we use the data, that rate goes down. So there's sort of this constant balancing act, and I think it's a pretty good nerf, to be completely honest. Okay, so after a couple days of whipping around the planet, we've got or a day of whipping around the planet, we've got 9 science to transmit. Let's go ahead and transmit that. And it'll upload it, and voila, we've got 9 science that we can now use for our research and things. And so we're just going to leave that running for a while. We only used 2 data, and it made us 9 science. So you can see how this can really dramatically expand your ability to process information and sort of progress in the game. So we're going to want to bring more labs up here for sure, and bring more experiments so that we can use them. Hence why we built the little modular bit. One final piece of the puzzle that I would like to show off is the USI colonization dashboard, right? Which is a pretty sweet mod in itself. The USI collection of mods is one of my favorite. It's a little buggy and it's very out of date. Like, for example, hold on, before I show this off, let me just pivot quickly. For example, if we go to the KSpedia and we go to the USI information slots, there's just nothing at all about the orbital dock, which is why I didn't know how to use it, right? Like, it just hasn't been updated here. You go to manufacturing and whatever, there is nothing about building in orbit. There are some deprecated here you go, archive. There are some deprecated ones for extraplanetary launch pads, but these aren't used anymore in the game, right? Like this, so like the documentation is out of date. But other than that, I think USI is great. And one of the features it offers is the colonization dashboard. We got the Mun and Minmus, right? What this is basically saying is that, because we do technically have a Mun colony rocking right now, right? I don't know if we have a Minmus colony going on, but if we go to colony inventory, this is the one we need. And this is going to be talking about this, this station specifically. So it's saying that we have 23 days of electric charge, or 143 or whatever, and it all just depends on how much sun the solar panels are getting, and that's constantly being adjusted, right? Our supplies currently on the station for this number of Kerbals will last 5 years, so we don't need to bring any back. We've got 40 years worth of fertilizer, so we're pretty set for a while. And of course, if we bring more farms, we'll use it more quickly, but we'll also produce more supplies. So kind of, goes back and forth, and I think it's a pretty great system. One thing we could have done, which I now realize, is we could have actually flown these up with full tanks of poop. So that we would have more to use for our farm, because I think that is currently the limiting factor, is the farm, we're not producing enough doo-doo for our farms to actually use. So the Kerbals are making it, but it's not being stored quickly enough, right? Like, we need actually more Kerbals, ironically enough. But because we have multiple resource recyclers, like life support recyclers, including the lab and the 2 ones we've hidden in here, we have dramatically extended our supplies lifespan, right? If we were just using them straight, we would be using them much more quickly. But at 5 years, that's plenty. Nothing we need to worry about, which means, that's right, we can go to Moho next episode with absolutely no worries. That means there's nothing, no one here is going to die. We'll have to just periodically check back and transmit some science. And then I think we're ready to rock. And there it is, the Sloth 3. Let's do this. And do this we shall. As excited as Werner von Kerman was for this little escapade, the laws of physics, unfortunately, had other plans for us. And voila, we've done it. Yes, yes indeed, a Moho periapsis to call our own. Look at it, it's beautiful, it's adorable, it's perfect in every single way. Could you think, okay, maybe it's not perfect in every single way. You think we could give it a little nudgy nudge? Yeah, oh, we totally could. Because I'd like to bring that real low down, if I can help it. And see if we can't get into low orbit before we do our thing. You do get a huge efficiency boost to do it this way, just to your orbital maneuvers. Okay, cool. So 15, that'll do it. Let's go ahead and pull this to see how much fuel we're gonna need to get into orbit. That should be enough. Is what I would say if it was enough. What the fuck? Wait, did I overshoot? I overshot. I'm so sorry. Does that say 10? Does that say 10,000 meters per second? Oh, I do this every single time. Oh, I forget. Oh, okay. Oh man, every time. What's happened? Okay, what's happened? Why is Largely Unemployed crashing out this time? When you get closer to the star, it pulls you very quickly, and you speed up. You have to go a lot faster down here than you do out here to stay in orbit. And so we have to knock out all of that delta V in order to get into a circularized orbit around Moho. Meaning that it takes significantly more fuel to get to Moho than it does to Joule, or even Sardis. That sucks. Okay, so we're not orbiting Moho. We'll get a very low flyby of Moho, which is pretty cool. But you know what? There's a way to make sure that this mission is not a complete failure. And it's actually one that you can do at home as well. It takes very little skill. And it's probably one of the easiest tips I think I can give new players in general. And what you do is you find your probe core right there. You right click on this. And then you do this here quickly. You say, okay. There you go. It's all. Problem they're done. And now, now the mission's doing exactly what it's supposed to. Hey, NASA. Hey, you know where to find me. Down in the comments section is where you'll find me, where you will be leaving mandatory praise for this video, and especially for Magic's work. He is holding this whole operation together right now. I have so many jobs, gamers, and my brain has become but a smear of ketchup on the hot dog of life. Someone help me, please. By liking this video. You can do that, right? There's one little button. Click it. There you go. That's the sound it'll make. Every time you click it, it just tickles me a little bit, and I go, ooh, just like that. Every time you do it. If you unlike it, I go, oh. So you could make quite the symphony if you wanted to. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Anyway, you could also call your grandma. She told me she misses you. Until then, and as always, we'll be seeing you in the next one. Cheers. You made it to the end of the video. Congratulations and thank you. That puts you in the top 3% of viewers. Here's another video that YouTube thinks you're going to like, and here is a list of all the patron and channel member names. If you don't see yours on there, you can find a link down in the description where you can sign up and support this content directly. If your name is on there, well, you probably already know that, huh? So, what are you still doing here?